Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you guys joining me today, especially in this little pocket between Christmas and New Year's where everything kind of feels softer, it feels slower, it feels just a little bit more magical. And the thing about this week, this is a really, really special week, in my opinion, because it's a quiet week that a lot of people kind of write off as dead time between Christmas and New Year. But for me, I really find it to be one of the most powerful weeks in terms of energy in the entire year because, you know, you're heading into the new year, you're getting ready to start focusing on your new goals for the year and your new systems and strategy and growth. But before we even do that, we have to do something really, really important. And this is what I think a lot of people forget to do. We need to look at who you became in 2025 and who you're choosing to become in 2026. And so today I'm going to walk you through how the best way to reflect on your year and celebrate your wins and understand your growth and really get clear on what it is that you want more of in 2026 while we're still activating that part of you that is ready to step into the next level. So grab yourself a cup of tea, make sure you're nice and cozy, make sure you have a journal with you for this episode. And I want to kick us off before we even go too far ahead. And I want you to just take a deep breath in here. Take a deep breath in with me. And I want you to pause for a moment and just breathe in and breathe out. Because if you're here, you made it through a lot this past year. Probably a lot more than you're acknowledging to yourself. And if you're anything like most jewelry business owners, you probably are already thinking about next year's goals, let's be real. The things that you think that you should have done, the tasks that you didn't get to. But the truth is that you survived things that would have broken the version of you from a few years ago. And we've all got that version of ourselves from a few years ago that would not have been able to navigate the challenges that we navigated over the past year. And so for some of you, you launched new collections. Some of you raised your prices, even though it scared you. A lot of you maybe shifted your marketing and stepped into being more visible and said yes to doing wholesale or events or opening your first store, or you built consistency that you never had before. Or for a lot of you, maybe you navigated some hard seasons, maybe you were navigating illness of yourself or family members. Maybe you're navigating burnout, motherhood, relationships, and you still kept showing up. And, for some of you, maybe you didn't have a very loud year, but you had a foundational one. So you had a year of healing, of clarity, of becoming braver. And maybe you just had a year of suddenly believing that you can build a real business for the first time ever. All of this is growth. All of this is evidence. And this itself is worth celebrating because when you don't take time to acknowledge who you're becoming, you walk into the new year carrying the belief that nothing is working. And that simply isn't true. So I am going to lovingly call you out. If we were doing this in person, I would check in and see, are you ready for some hard-hitting truths? Because if I'm being brutally honest, I want you to ask yourself this question. Did the way you ran your business in 2025 actually support the future that you want? Or did it keep you busy instead of productive? Did it keep you feeling overwhelmed instead of being strategic? Did it make you feel hopeful instead of actually feeling empowered? Did it make you feel like you're doubting yourself instead of leading your business? And I say this with a lot of compassion because I've lived this. So what I see a lot of jewelers get wrong is that They think that when we hit the new year, everything magically changes, but nothing magically changes on January the 1st. Only you do. And so the new year is not going to fix a lack of systems in your business. It's not going to fix the fact that maybe you've been winging it. It's not going to fix if you're hiding behind your designs. It's not going to fix burnout. It's not going to fix a strategy that isn't actually a strategy, or it's not one that aligns with your business and the season of business you're in and your why for building your business. And so I really want you to be able to walk into 2026 clear on the version of you that's walking into that, because 2026 will reflect the version of you that walks into it. And so I want you to make this choice intentionally, because you get to choose. You don't have to be like, it is what it is. We don't have to do that. We can make a decision. And so for this week, I typically don't see this as a week to hustle. I see this as a week to go inward. It's not a week to pressure yourself. It's a week to listen. Listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, listen to your body, and ask yourself these 3 questions. You can write these down and you can hit pause and take a moment to journal. But the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, what actually worked this past year in 2025? What actually worked? Not what looked good, not what everyone else said you should do. What actually worked? What brought in sales? What brought in wholesale sales? What brought in online sales? What brought you joy? What brought you momentum? What brought you time? What brought you a sense of freedom? What felt aligned? Take some time to really think about what went well over the past year. And we're looking at financial sides of the business. We're looking at how you felt in the business. We're looking at your time and your energy and your clarity and your confidence. We're looking at your joy. So there's so many different levels here, but I want you to take a couple of minutes and just actually think about what worked over the past year. And there may be some things that you didn't even realize because you didn't even acknowledge them in the time, because we just get in this habit of go, go, go. The next thing I want you to ask yourself when you have finished the first question is this: what did I do this past year that I want more of? What did I do this year that I want more of? So maybe that's more confidence. Maybe it's more showing up for my business more consistently. Maybe it's more selling. Maybe it's more collaborations, more wholesale outreach, more systems, more team members, more structure, more rest, more ownership, more community, more support. Ask yourself, what did I do this year in 2025 that I really want more of as we move into 2026? And I really want to double down on in 2026. So take some time, think through those questions. And then the third one I want you to ask yourself when you're ready is this: what did I quietly outgrow in 2025? And this is quite honestly a very hard one. So it's, what did I quietly outgrow? The reality is that next level version of you that you're moving into in 2026, it does require letting go, and it's very, very hard. So maybe you've just outgrown underpricing and undervaluing your brand. Maybe you've outgrown playing small. Maybe you've outgrown perfectionism, or you outgrew doing it all alone and feeling like you have to be some kind of hero. Maybe you've outgrown the identity of I'm not ready yet, or I'm a starving artist, or business is supposed to be a constant struggle, or, those identities are we can choose to let those go. So I want you to take a moment, write down what you're ready to let go of, what you've outgrown in the past year in your business. What identities and stories you've told yourself and about your business are you ready to let go of? Maybe it's as simple as the story that so many business owners fall into, where it's the reason I'm not doing well is the economy. Well, there are businesses that struggle when the economy is struggling, but there's always businesses thriving as well. And so you get to choose. You get to choose what stories you're holding on to. You get to choose what steps you take. You get to choose how you navigate different seasons. So think about what you quietly outgrew, write it down, hit pause until you're ready to move on. And once you've done that, I want you to imagine that version of you 1 year from today. 1 year from today. So it will be this time next year, end of 2026. And that's the version of you who has systems in your business. That's the version of you who knows her strategy, who knows every day when you wake up, here's what I need to do, here's how to do it, here's we know we're doing the key revenue driving tasks in our business. We know we are doing the right amount of outreach and XYZ to actually grow all these different revenue streams within our business. That version of yourself who trusts yourself, who takes action, who makes decisions quickly and effectively, and has the confidence to know that if you make the wrong decision, you can handle it, you can pivot, you can move forward. That version of yourself who creates content with clarity and who feels energized by content creation. That version of yourself who raises your prices confidently, without hesitation, without doubting yourself all the time. And that version of yourself who has grown her wholesale accounts, grown her online sales, grown her visibility in her community, and feels more connected to her purpose than ever before. That version of yourself who has a support system, a network, a community, who has structure, who has momentum, who has a deep sense of inner peace and purpose. That version of yourself exists, and a lot of the time we think that that version of ourselves is 10 years away. I know, because I was there many years ago. I used to think that that version of myself that you see here today, I used to think that this was 10 years away minimum. But it's not. That version of yourself who's building a business in a very intentional, strategic way, who is confident being seen and navigating and building your business like a CEO, who feels supported and energized by their business and by their community, and has a growing customer base. That version of yourself is closer than you think. But the misconception here is that version doesn't come from hustling harder. That version doesn't come from guessing. It doesn't come from doing it alone. It doesn't come from hoping that maybe next year will be better. That version of you comes from deciding that you are worth being supported, guided, mentored at a higher level. That version of you comes from choosing structure over chaos. Comes from choosing strategy over hope and throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. It comes from taking action over letting fear hold you back. It comes from being supported over isolating yourself. I know I isolated myself at one point for 2 whole years. It was not a fun time in business. So you want to look at how you are identifying. Like, do you identify as someone who needs to struggle in order to feel worthy of your results? Because that's a story you want to rewrite. That's an identity you want to release. Your identity creates your reality. Now, I have an example for you for anyone who's like, what are you talking about, Robin? I don't want people getting upset about this example, but we'll use the marathon example. I think that's an easy one. Because when somebody's like me, who I used to be a complete couch potato many years ago, and I was like, I just don't identify as a fit, strong, healthy person. Like, it just didn't identify like that at one stage in my life. I identified as a weak, low energy, person. And so for me to even be thinking like, I'm going to go do something high energy or whatever, it just felt completely unrealistic because I didn't identify as like, that's what I'm capable of. It's the same reason a lot of people struggle to quit smoking. They struggle to quit smoking because they identify as a smoker. When I was vegan, I identified as a vegan. And when I quit, I didn't then just drop that label. I identified as a bad vegan. So your identity really creates your reality. And in 2026, your identity needs to shift first. And so I want to share something that I see all the time when I'm working with jewelry business owners. Especially, I'm even thinking of like a lot of our clients in the Jewelry Business Academy. Most of our clients didn't join us necessarily because everything was falling apart in their business. They joined because they felt that little nudge, that whisper, that knowing that I'm meant for more and I'm done doing this alone. And once they stepped in, once they embraced that support, once they made that identity shift of, I'm meant for more. I know I'm meant for more. I am done doing this alone and I don't need to do this alone and hustle really hard and work really hard and struggle in order to be worthy of celebrating my results when I get them. Once they made that decision, massive shifts begin. And, we've had obviously our clients' sales grow, their confidence grows, their strategy becomes simple and clear. But the biggest transformation that I've seen is that a lot of these clients finally become the version of themselves that they had been pretending that they weren't ready to be. I've seen clients go from very shy, very do not want to be seen, do not want to be heard of, do not want to take up space, to actively showing up, to embracing their actual style and showing up and taking content and connecting with people and sharing their story and just becoming alive again. Just becoming alive and becoming that version of themselves that is the CEO of a business, is the CEO who has a team supporting her, is the CEO who's growing at a good pace, who feels energized by the work they do, who knows that they can navigate difficult situations. And so they finally became the version of themselves that they've been pretending that they weren't ready to be. And that is what I want for you. We all have that version. We all have that. And so if you're listening to this and you're feeling that pull, that little flutter in your chest, that feeling that, what, this is my year and I'm done playing small, then this is your moment. And I want you to even write that down on a sticky note and remind yourself this message, this is my year and I'm done playing small. Because if that is you, then this is your moment. You guys know I've been building the Jewelry Business Academy for many, many years now. And inside the academy, you get the 10-day Jewelry Biz Sprint, which all of our clients go through, whether they're brand new, starting a business from scratch, or they've been in business 20, 25 years, making multiple six figures. Every single client goes through the 10-day sprint first because we want to make sure that before we even focusing on all the things in your business, we want to simplify. We want to make sure that foundation is solid. We want to make sure your offer and your niche actually makes sense because so many people are out here marketing and trying to grow their brand, but they have not refined their offer. And without that, it's very hard to stand out online. So we do that on day 2 of the 10-day sprint. And then we're looking at your collections and your pricing and the actual structure of your business. Does it align with your why? Does it make sense for the amount of time, energy, and money you have to invest in your business? Does it make sense based on the goals that you have for your business and the financial goals and the time goals and, just what you want your day-to-day to look like? When we have that in place and we're clear on the revenue streams that make sense for your business, then it's okay, now we're going to help you find your voice and start creating content intentionally and strategically meeting you where you're at. And we're working on emails and we're working on automations and we're working on refining your storefront online, your online website, so that it's actually nurturing customers who do land on it to make a purchase. And we're going through these 10 days, really building solid foundations in your business. Now, that's something we have people who will literally do it in 10 days because they just I'm all in, let's do this. We have other people who are I only have pockets of time. I'm going to take 10 weeks to do it. And that's fine. But that foundation is so key. And then we move them into our 90-day jewelry business blueprint, which essentially is like, here's exactly what you need to do each day, every day for 90 days to grow your business. And the results we've seen from people who actually just show up, take action, are consistent is phenomenal. It shows you the impact of just showing up for your business, whether it's 30 minutes a day, 3 hours a day, whatever your capacity is, but focusing on those revenue driving tasks and not sitting down all the time and writing these lists and coming up with ideas and looking at what everyone else is doing and trying to reverse engineer because you think maybe they've got the secret sauce. We get you focusing on what really moves the needle for you and for your business. And then you're going to come on calls with me every single week. We have 2 group coaching calls every single week. And you're going to ask your questions. And we're going to not just answer your questions based on what the typical answer is. We're looking at, well, what makes sense for you and for your business? And I have clients where I give them completely different advice, often because it's like, well, I know the context of the situation you're in or your business or your goals or, there's differences here. And so we're answering your questions, but we go deeper than that because just answering your questions is not enough. A lot of you know what you need to be doing, but there are these internal blocks, these limiting beliefs, these barriers to actually taking action. And so we have to work through those often. We have to work through what is that block that's showing up? Why is this a limiting belief? Why is there this fight or flight response that your body's automatically going into when you get a really big order? Instead of going into celebratory mode, you're already like, oh no, I just made $10,000. I had this happen to a client 2 days ago. She was like, I just got the biggest order ever. It was around 15,000-ish. And she's like, now I'm panicked because I'm like, well, what if they don't like the pieces when they get them? Because it was such a huge order. And it's like, now we work on regulating your nervous system and getting your body feeling safe with growth, getting your body feeling safe with visibility, getting your body feeling safe with being vulnerable and being seen, and getting your body in a place where it's easier to be consistent in your business. And then we obviously have our incredible Facebook community where you can ask questions literally every single day. I answer every single person's questions. And I'm taking into account what you're navigating as I get to know you and your business better in all of that feedback. And you guys know our community is incredible. You've heard a lot of them on the podcast. A lot of our clients have joined the podcast to just share their journeys of building their businesses. And we have an incredible community. And that's because we have a group of men and women who are committed to growth. They are committed to doing the vulnerable work. They are open to hearing feedback that they might not want to hear, but they know that they need to hear. And then they are open to the discomfort that comes with that and the awareness of like, oh, now I realize like the last 10 years, I haven't been doing this easy thing that would have changed the game for me so many years ago. And that's uncomfortable to work through. And it's probably my favorite part is just seeing the relationships and the friendships that come from the community and people traveling to see each other and seeing each other at events and connecting. And that to me alone is just like, it's so powerful when you feel more connected to the world, because life is hard, entrepreneurship is hard, it's lonely, and having a supportive community that actually gets the world that you're in, actually gets the challenges that you're navigating, it makes it feel so much easier. It makes it feel so much more exciting and so much more fun. And you're going to get that clarity, that structure, that strategy, that momentum, and a full mindset and identity upgrade, which is the crucial piece. So we remove 99% of the guesswork so that you can just focus on what moves the needle. So for anyone listening who's like, man, I really want 2026 to feel different. I am ready for an expansive year. I'm ready to have a business that finally feels predictable, that finally feels aligned, that finally feels more profitable. I'm ready to increase my profits. I'm ready to claim my time back. if you are ready for that, if you are ready to step into your next level, you can DM me on Instagram. It's Robin Clark Coaching. You can DM me 2026 and I will personally send you all of the details so that we can hit the ground running in January. So do that today, not next week, not once life gets quieter, not when you feel ready, because our bodies are not wired, our brains are not wired for growth, they are wired for safety. So when we tell ourselves, I'm going to wait till I feel more ready, that's just our mind and body keeping us safe, because anything that stays the same is comfortable, and there's a safety in that. And our body is just wired to keep us alive and keep us safe. It is not wired to push us out of our comfort zone and do vulnerable things and grow. So don't wait to feel ready. I don't want you to be listening to this podcast 1 year from today and not a lot has changed and you haven't gone through these upgrades and you haven't shifted things in your life and business. Your future self is waiting for you on the other side of this decision. And I'm going to be there with you if you come and join us. We have a kickoff call in January where I'm actually going to be helping work through your goals with you live on the call. We're going to be doing a massive goal setting strategy call specifically for jewelry business owners. And here's the kicker. We're not just focusing on the goals. We're looking at your goals so that we know where we're going. And then we're coming up with, well, what systems make sense for your business? Where do we need to make cuts? What do we need to implement? And then we're going to go and put these into your calendar. So you're going to kick off the year with so much structure. There's not going to be this winging it lag season in January. We are hitting the ground running. I have clients last year who had never made sales in January before. And they actually did one of their biggest sales months in January just by following a portion of what we've covered on this call. So your future self is waiting for you on the other side of this decision. DM me, as I said, 2026 on Instagram. It's at Robin Clark Coaching. If you want all the details on the Jewelry Business Academy, if you want to go see some client stories, we have all of that on our website and more. That's at jewelrybusinessacademy.ca. But thank you for being here. Thank you for spending this quiet and powerful week with me. I am so proud of who you've become this year. And I am even more excited about who you are stepping into next year. And I want to hear from you. What came up through this journaling exercise? Let me know. Send me a little message on Instagram as well. Screenshot the episode that you're listening to and let me know your favorite takeaways or your biggest aha moments, or you're like, oh, you know what? I am ready to step into that next level version of myself. I just love hearing from you guys, love connecting with you. And keep an eye out for our next episode because I have a very special one coming out at the beginning of January, where we're talking all things systems, strategy, community, and support to build your most powerful year yet. So you've got this. Sending you all so much love, and a huge thank you to each and every one of you who are tuning in every single week and you're growing your business and you're being part of our podcasting community. This podcast would not exist without you. And so I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. I'm so excited for everything that's coming for you in the next year. And 2026 is going to be your year.